So we try to answer the question like, what makes a news article shared and go viral? Or what is the latest, most shared sport news right now? This is what we try to answer. These questions we try to answer. And you ask yourself, what is this guy telling about flies with his small animals on a big data conference? So we have this fly here, and normally you associate big data with smart cities, Internet of Things, public health. But we are talking about the media industry, and we are talking about the changes in the media industry. And the media industry has as well a lot of things going on in big data. So the first thing was there was somebody like Google, and they changed a little bit with the media industry, and I think we can hear this every day, maybe yesterday again, that there's something going on with Google and VG Media. And then there came somebody like Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. And then the media industry said, okay, everything is fine now, we do things differently. But you all know this prediction that by 2040, so I think the printed newspaper is predicted to be dead, but I firmly believe that the news isn't dead. It's just delivered in another way. So 33% of US citizens read their news on Facebook. And there are several reasons why they do this. Why are they reading it on Facebook? First of all, it's a short read. Secondly, it's something about the smartphone, because they have time, they are sitting and commute and do it on the airplane, or maybe not while flying, but on the train. And it's easy, and they like to share it. The second thing is journalism changed dramatically, and journalism is no longer a one-way communication. It's another really fundamental change. And some people believe that social media starts to replace search. The other thing is we try to show the level of engagement. So I try to explain you why we came up with the idea 10,000 flies. What does it mean? And there's a German saying, 10,000 flies can't be wrong. This is the idea of our platform. And what are we doing? We are going every day to all main news portals right now in the German-speaking countries, and we get all news articles from these platforms. That's the first step. And then we have, as the smallest piece, the URL of each article, and we look up on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, how often is this article shared, liked, tweeted, retweeted, maybe plussed. Some people use this. You are using it?
Yes.
Okay, it's you. It's good for SEO. So we see what's going on actually, and how people engage with articles. So this is what we think. And this engagement is something completely different than other metrics. So if you engage with an article, you put it on your kind of virtual body. You say, I like this, I hate this, I agree, I don't agree, I share it with friends, I think this is relevant, I think this is bullshit. So this is what you are doing, and therefore we believe this is really important. So maybe just some numbers. We are going right now, every day, since the last 20 months, to 2,500 news portals. We get per month something like 400,000 articles. This is the smallest part. And we have every month 27 million flies. So what is a fly? A fly is just an engagement interaction between a user and an article. So it's not a big calculation, it's not a big secret. We just add interactions and say an interaction from Google+, there are 3 or 4, an interaction from other sources is just a fly, and in the end we have a number of flies. So at the end we have 27 million flies every month. This is what we are doing right now for free. So this is a business model contest, and this is for free. So there is no business model behind it, but this is old data. So we are publishing this for free every day, and this is the data from yesterday. So we know in detail that this heftig article, which is something like BuzzFeed, was shared yesterday and liked and retweeted 32,000 times. We know this in detail. And the next step is we introduce 10,000 Flyers Pro, where we do the same thing with much more data in real time. So we see the news that move people in real time. This is actually what we want to do, and this is what we want to accomplish. And we call it 10,000 Flyers Pro, and we have an example dashboard. So this is not out in the market, but right now we are testing it with the big publishing houses. So all big publishing houses and other people who depend on news and engagement, they try it and they like it and they use it. It looks like this. It's something like a widget store, something like a cafeteria system, and I just show you some of these widgets we are just developed, but it's an open system. So if somebody says, I need my personal set of sources, I would like to see what's going on in China, we can add this. If somebody says, I like Omnichar because it's important for me, please add this to this thing, we can do this. But because of the time constraint, I would like to show some of our widgets and how they work. So this widget shows you what's going on right now. It's a screenshot from yesterday. So we realized that there is a new operating system coming out from Microsoft. And this article, this news article, is from Bild. And they say, OK, this was shared 500 times, or tweeted or retweeted. So it's a fly, 500 times interaction with persons. And we see in the last hour, this article gained a lot. So we have this thing. The other thing is, which is in my eyes pretty interesting, we see by publication how many articles are published and how strong is the engagement. For example, there is this publication Heftig. They published yesterday 4 articles, and compared to Bild, they have much more, maybe 10,000 more interactions with just 4 articles, which is, in my eyes, a really revolution. So there are 2 guys from Leipzig. They're doing some testing. They're actually copying a lot of news from the US sites. They rephrase it, they test it, and then they publish this content. And they have more reach and more engagement than Bild Zeitung and Spiegel Online together. This is what we actually see and what we can show in real time. There's something else. So if I were the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, 2 more minutes, okay, then I could see what's going on with my article. So I have to skip a little bit through the presentation. I can see where does actually the interaction does come from, because sometimes Twitter and Google Plus is really strong. It's not always so poor, as I said in the beginning. Sometimes it's really strong. So I can see this in detail. I can watch articles. I see topics. So if I say I would like to know everything about the new iPhone, the iWatch, and so on, I can see this in real time, what's going on. I can rank in sections. So I want to see what's hot in sports, in business, in politics. So I see this in real time. And this is just about trending topics. We go to Wikipedia and look up what's going on Wikipedia. Wikipedia is really important for the news development, and we see what's going on there. Maybe some pictures which just illustrate what I said before. These are the biggest engagement publications in Germany and the German-speaking country right now. You see the number of flies there. And on the other hand, you see the number of articles. So just compared 150 articles published by Heftig in a month and 9.6 million interactions, compared to 7,000 articles published by Bild Zeitung, compared to 14.8 interactions. So we see that's a really big shift. Maybe the last word, I have some more slides, but maybe the last word is everybody says Facebook is out and there's nothing going on. If you see how much flies just appeared, if you see how strong the thing is, it's just growing and growing. maybe for my friend from Google, something about the market share of Google+. It's not so good. But on the other hand, we can see it on an individual level that, for example, Frankfurter Allgemeine or Heise, for them it's really important. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Anton Klees. So, the jury is all yours now.
Thank you very much. I really like the idea. I played around with something called block stats like 10 years ago, and which was not as sophisticated as you guys are doing, because back then there were no likes to track and there was no Google Plus and all that. But I think it's really not only interesting but also important to see what kind of news or what kind of articles are being read, are linked and Twittered and liked and whatnot, because I think engagement will play a more and more important role in terms of assessing how important a platform is and how to leverage media spending and whatnot. So I really like it. My question is, does it make sense to go into pro to sell this to newspapers and others, or would it make sense to have a more like a personal curated system that you as a user could use to have easier access to interesting articles?
So our business plan right now is, and this is what we are doing, we are giving this to business users. So we are talking actually to most of the big publishing houses right now, and they are testing it. And it's a subscription model. So they get it, and they can choose if it's software as a service, if it's delivered via API, or if it's maybe a widget they can just plug in on their website. So this is what we do right now. The curated idea is maybe not a thing where we can make money. This is actually pretty easy, because we see there are these people, the publishing houses and others,
they don't have money.
They have money as a little bit, maybe. Yeah. Maybe it's not going till 2040. But we believe that this is an easier business model, and they get a subscription for this service. And we are doing this already.
I like the presentation very much, so how you, started with the question you were going after, you showed a real product with a lot of insights, so very good presentation, very professional done, that's really good. The thing is, I'm similar as Nico. Yes, I think we all have, played around with statistics and these dashboards and these kind of things since ages. And I'm not so much in the current development of social media monitoring, but I'm asking myself, isn't that something that is simply available already by one of these companies out there that are monitoring Facebook and Twitter and so on? So that's a question. And the other thing is, being a fan of good journalism and newspapers, and yes, I believe as well that there will be a big change, in the distribution of the content, perhaps. You showed a lot of heftig kind of headlines. If I would work at Frankfurter Allgemeine and you would pitch, I wouldn't be too amazed. And I would even go further and think, if your tool, reveals the fact that heftig kind of content and buzzword and so on is the new kind of journalism, I would rethink, because I know the reason, I know how it's flying, and in a sense it's I have respect, for these Leipzig guys. But in another sense, not at all, because that's simply shit, that has nothing to do with good content. And I would simply, as a reader of a newspaper, I would love to see a service that comes up with good content in a sense. I know that it's hard, that if the flies are not. By the way, the flies metaphor. I thought, where are 1,000 flies usually sitting? Yeah. Perhaps that relates to the heftig kind of thing. Yeah. but in that case, I would, having that as a business model to identify the shit, if you like, is perhaps not a lasting thing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So maybe the first question, there are of course competitors, and I would say if there aren't competitors, there is no market. So we are not the first ones.
That's not what Peter Thiel says.
Okay, but but this is actually in this area with kind of a mashup idea, my idea. So there are competitors, but I think we have certain things we can do pretty good. So there's Meltwater, there's Spikes, they do similar stuff, but they are not concentrating on the single article. So this is what we do. We say the smallest unit is a single article, and this is what we can. The other question towards the quality of journalism in the future, one of the reasons when we saw, okay, there is this kind of huge pile of dirt, we said 10,000 files is a good idea, and then this was actually, so it works in a way. And what we can do in this Pro version is we can filter. So not everybody wants to see the Postillon and Heftig every day. So sometimes it's just good to compare that the Frankfurter and the Zeit, they compare to each other. So this is not, we are not saying that's the way to go. But if you are a tabloid paper, and if you are Bild-Zeitung, then you should look at Heftig.
Sure.
But if you are Frankfurter Rundschau, or if you are Huffington Post, or if you're, maybe Huffington Post is more Heftig, but if you are somewhere else, then you have to see, okay, how is my peer doing? Yeah. This is actually the idea. And this was one of the biggest demands of the users of the free version, to get rid of Heftig and to get rid of Postillon, because they said, okay, the Pope died because he wants to take care of his family. We got this joke now, it's enough. So
perhaps you would need two versions. I mean, one is 1,000 flies and the other 1,000 butterflies.
Something
content.
But we are not so optimistic actually about the quality. And actually, when we deliver this data, it's an API, and they say, okay, you are the guys who give us the data, and it's not so much about marketing like here.
Yeah, I don't know. I had some thoughts, but they've slipped me. The flies.
I was teasing you too much, maybe.
With the G+, you kind of threw me off. Yeah, but I think the idea is interesting. What I was thinking, my first thought was, it feels kind of like an A/B test for a slow version of an A/B test, because you want to see how your article is doing. And I don't think it's so much about content; it's more about what's shareable. And content, and there's good content and there's shareable content. And I don't think they're exclusive. They aren't mutually exclusive. Sometimes
maybe it's
good,
not always
exclusive.
exclusive.
But the headlines, obviously, I agree with you with the Heftig headlines. But I think the thing is, I think a lot of times the publishers, what they get wrong is they think, okay, Heftig maybe it is garbage, or BuzzFeed. But in the end, the only thing that counts on the internet is your attention. Yeah. And that's what it's about. That means if I'm reading Heftig and I'm sharing Heftig, then I'm not reading Bild-Zeitung or FAZ. And that's what counts. And I think that's where your idea is somewhat interesting, that you focus on where people are putting their attention. Yeah. But I would agree with the name also. You could see it as either horse manure, or you could see it as the corpse of old publishing houses, or whatever it might be. But that's don't quote me on that, please. But I think there's something there. There's something with seeing how people are engaging with media. I think there's something there. I think somehow for me it's missing the next wow, because right now you've got analytics, but somehow it's missing the wow effect for me. Okay. But it's definitely a good presentation. So yeah.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Yep.
Yep.
Basically the same than Nico and Jeremy. First I was like, okay, that's a monitoring tool. There are monitoring tools already, but you answered that question quite good, I think so. And you say, okay, we're concentrating on the articles itself. And then on the other side, I like the presentation, by the way, as well. And then, like Jeremy, I'm a little bit like, okay, now you can monitoring that, and then okay, I'm the FAZ, and I'm not as good in shareable articles than Zeit. And now?
But, as I said, we are not comparing Heftig with Zeit.
No, I said I am FAZ, and now I recognize, I don't know, I'm more or less shareable, or my articles as an FAZ are more or less shareable than the SZ articles. Yeah. So and that's what you mean, I think, with missing the wow effect, and I'm asking, and now, okay.
Actually, there are already some use cases. So if you see there is something like a commodity situation of news. So German wins the World Cup. Everybody is writing about it.
Yeah.
And now you say, okay, how does my article perform compared to my competitor in the same positioning? This is something which is important. I'm not saying that everybody should write like Heftig. I'm just saying,
no, I understand.
yeah, this is actually, and this is what people are using it right now already for. So they say, okay, we can optimize the headline. We can actually see as well if some new trends is coming. So it's not just monitoring, it's a trending tool, and it's an assessment tool. So we can assess certain things. How did it work? I didn't show all the details we have. We have some more details, and we can see actually multipliers. So if there's somebody who is really strong, especially on Twitter, because we get this data, we see this exactly. If Nico is saying something about Leistungsschutzrecht or somebody else, we see this, that this is somebody maybe you should talk to.
This is a kind of, I think, for our business model, very interesting part of it, because otherwise it's just like, as you said, there's a difference between shareables and content. So if I compare SZ and FAZ, they do have the kind of same contents. If they want to make it more shareable, the conclusion would be, okay, I have to switch the headlines to a kind of a Heftig headline so that they are more shareable, but that's what they don't want. And
actually,
so
they're doing it right now. If you see FAZ, I don't
I
like it.
don't know if this is the right way, but anyway.
But they're doing it.
But yeah, that's not the question.
I think we have to stop here, because the 10 minutes are over, but you can maybe wrap it up in
last
one or two
recommendation:
sentences.
hire a data scientist, please. Because you
have
could
a
show
data
up
scientist.
with more details about what these articles are standing for. Not just the headlines, but some in-depth insights where the text analytics module says, "We found out this."
Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anton Klees.